Have you ever wondered why 88% of videos never hit 1,000 views?
Well, it's because nobody clicks on bad thumbnails.
And a single thumbnail could be the difference between your channel gaining thousands of subscribers or sitting around collecting dust like the other 88% of creators. But after spending countless hours reviewing tens of thousands of thumbnails that have generated billions of views for creators across many niches, we at 1 of 10 have realized something. There's actually a repeatable formula that top YouTubers use every time to blow up their videos and gain subscribers. And with that formula, they achieve two things. Number one is getting people to stop scrolling, and number two is getting them to click. But making a scroll-stopping thumbnail isn't just about clean text, a pretty picture, or a colorful graphic, because thumbnails are less about what people are clicking and more about why people are clicking. So let's dive into every thumbnail format that drives viewers into clicking frenzies, starting with this one right here. This every thumbnail format, visualized by rows of icons, images, even paintings, is a fantastic way to pull in an audience hungry for knowledge. This format is particularly great for educators looking to teach viewers about a particular topic. And the alluring idea that just one video can teach you everything you need to know about one thing, well, that's an irresistible click. It's also a rare instance of a slightly busier format doing particularly well. And speaking of busy, a lot of the time the YouTube homepage bombards us with a colorful, crowded mess of thumbnails screaming for our attention, and it just takes a lone rebel to stand out against the crowd, like Ty from 99 with this thumbnail format here. Funnily enough, there are so many creators right now using like high saturation, high contrast, really well thought through thumbnails to stand out on the homepage, but when everyone's doing it, stripping back to a minimal style can actually be the secret to millions of views. These negative space formats isolate two things. Number one is the subject, and number two is the text. So it's important that as a combination, they produce the emotion that is most vital for a successful thumbnail: curiosity. And speaking of text, slapping 3 words on a thumbnail might seem quite an easy feat, but you have to question whether those words are creating an irresistible urge for your viewers to watch. You see, the success of a thumbnail directly relates to how good of an idea your video is built upon, and some video ideas need a little bit more clarification through text. One approach that works really well is to shut up. Yeah, that kind of caught me off guard as well. You see, a title and a thumbnail have an unbreakable relationship, and the following creators I'm about to show you essentially make their thumbnail part of their title and their title part of their thumbnail. Whether it be a response to a quote like our shut up thumbnail here, or the beginning of a story or life lesson that YouTuber Nico Yaps does so well here, the aim is to think about breaking up a sentence or responding to the title in a way that piques curiosity for a viewer. And one way to test to see if you have a good thumbnail is to see if you can write down what questions your thumbnails might get viewers asking. If you find this really difficult, chances are your thumbnail probably isn't enticing enough and you need to go back to the drawing board and think again. But if you're looking for your text to be a little bit more subtle, then you can stick it behind your subject, whether it be a human, car, or car human. Commonly, creators will stick to around 1 word when they're using this because it's still large enough to be eye-catching and give a little bit of context to the idea of the video. Now, what if I told you there's a thumbnail that guarantees attention regardless of how many subscribers or views you might get? Well, you'll want to use faces like these. Using social hacking to your advantage is a great tactic to attract fans of a certain famous figure or instantly attach credibility to your ideas. Creators like Charisma on Command have mastered the art of social hacking, but a popular format right now is the triple profile format, with many channels also utilizing text to build story. For this format, you can also use fictional characters like Calisthenics Nerd has done here with the anime character Toji that pulled in a whopping 700,000 views on his second upload. And notice the use of negative space here again. But the secret to social hacking comes down to something called the familiarity bias, which is the fact that people are always drawn towards something that is more familiar to them. And the next format taking advantage of this is...
We have breaking news. YouTuber Nico has recently stolen BBC News branding and used it to generate tens of millions of views.
But if you don't fancy stealing things from large news networks, then the next best format to still take advantage of the familiarity bias is to simply create your own branded thumbnail. Channels like Fireship demonstrate this perfectly by using a limited color palette and specific fonts alongside their logo in the bottom left corner, creating an instantly recognizable thumbnail style. But limited color schemes and custom fonts aren't the only way to stand out with branded thumbnails. You can also stand out by creating your own character like the creator Viura has done here. Notice how she not only creates a fantastic contrast between her minimalistic character and the bright backgrounds, but also keeps the thumbnail simple with 3 main elements. Now, building a cohesive branded style of thumbnail is a great way to build trust with returning viewers, but the next thumbnail is no longer about brand and all about your guest. The quote thumbnail is primarily for podcast content or any content featuring some kind of interview. This thumbnail has 2 main elements, the quote and the guest. But its key to success is choosing a quote that is so exceptional or curiosity-inducing that it just creates that irresistible urge for your viewers to want to know more and get that click. I don't know what that was. Notice that this is another thumbnail where the title can play an absolute key part in its success, such as this thumbnail here linking Stay Young After 30 to quitting something before bed. A channel that has mastered this format is Diary of a CEO, who even features more than 10 words in a thumbnail to draw viewers in, with his key ingredient being the red text highlight that we like to call the Vexian style thumbnail. But for the next thumbnail, we are going back in time to 10,000 BC, where we're gonna have a listen to the wisdom of my great ancestor Fred.
If you wish to gain the power of one's attention, you must tell the best tales.
For thousands of years, people have communicated the most important information to them through storytelling, so it's no doubt that thumbnails that have a storytelling cinematic style to them are really alluring to viewers. Creators like Life of Reza have built their channel off of this very style, and it's also commonly seen in the travel niche paired with stylish text to match the energy of the location. But what is it about that visual cinematic look that is so compelling? Well, one of the reasons is the lovely blurred focus we can achieve through a cinematic camera lens that replicates the way our own eyes focus on things. And in the same way our eyes can laser focus onto a single object, creators have used this to their advantage in this blurred format here, where they draw attention to their desired subject. If you find a great thumbnail format and you're actually interested in seeing how it's performing across the platform, maybe with other creators or in other niches, you can actually use the similar thumbnails function in the 1 of 10 tool to do this. So when I was looking up some extra examples to use in this video, I simply found a video with my desired thumbnail format and then clicked similar thumbnails. From that, I got a range of results, not only showing similar thumbnails from other creators, but also data on how well they performed for the channel. There's even a bookmark function that allows you to save videos for future reference if you're fed up of organizing screenshots on your computer. But coming back to our thumbnail formats, what if you made the viewer the main character of your video? Well, that's exactly what the real life point of view format does here, with the viewer instantly being thrown into the protagonist's shoes, which works incredibly well when paired with an intriguing setting that forces your audience to ask, what is gonna happen next? Fraud, police investigations, and drama, obviously, which are best represented by this corkboard format, which has recently blown up through Dogpack amongst all the Mr. Beast drama and seems to be the most effective way to cancel someone right now. I call this format the investigation format, and it works so well simply because of people's interest in drama. But do you know what can also be dramatic? Pizza. Or to be more precise, this pizza face format, enticing viewers with the idea that a famous face might have more sides to them than you think. Spooky. But the time has now come for the ultimate showdown, where I will be presenting the $1 versus the $100,000 YouTube host. I'm probably somewhere in the middle of that, but this format comes down to people's obsession with comparison. Humanity have always used comparison as a means of self-improvement, self-evaluation, and also inspiration by contrasting their own positions, beliefs, and things against their peers. The success of the versus format is a perfect example of this, ranging from videos comparing price, products, characters, technique, and more. A bonus example of this format in play is what I like to call the triple display, where a desired outcome is displayed in a triple split format, either representing an end goal or a journey. And speaking of journeys, we can actually go a step further with what I like to call the time split format. This thumbnail format places a desired outcome within a fixed time frame and works extremely well because viewers are hooked on the idea that they're able to watch someone achieve something within a certain period of time. Their desire to click is led by the possibility that they could achieve the same result in the same time frame. This format can also work in a slightly different context, such as the video here, where calendar years have been used to hook viewers into a historical journey. Now, the next thumbnail format success heavily relies on the fact that it's really not easy to produce. But if there's any artists out there, they'll be smiling after this one, because thumbnails that build their brand off of custom artwork can really distinguish themselves from their competition. Whether it be a warm, limited palette with a graphical style like Mover's Odyssey here, or a more realistic illustrative approach like the haunting black and white style of bedtime stories, the talent of their artists have been a clear driving force for the growth of their channels. But artwork isn't limited to 2D, as Blender formats are coming through, becoming insanely popular with beautifully eye-catching 3D renders. The unique imagery of the renders and the flexibility of the programs producing them allow creators to portray story and show images in a way that people might not have seen before. But not all of us are exactly as artistically gifted as some of these thumbnail creators, and our drawings most of the time end up looking something like this. Well, do I have good news for you. Once again, with bold contrast and negative space coming into play, I introduce to you the stupidly simple stickman format. Over the past year, this style has really popped off in the education niche, with channels like Easy actually creating a massive audience alongside other channels using this simplified blackboard look to achieve a wild number of views. This fun format is another example of a style that really stands out against the crowd and particularly fits the context of the education niche well because of that blackboard look. Now, I don't know about you, but seeing a thumbnail like this brings me to an immediate stop and tends to distract me from whatever it is I'm up to. The success of this weird format comes down to our curiosity of the unknown and always wanting to see new things. Whether it be a weird fish monster in the Amazon, a ridiculously priced yo-yo, or a strange makeup removal, they all bring us to a stop and make us wonder, what the hell is that? But do you want to know something that's an even bigger shock? You might hit the jackpot and think you found the perfect thumbnail, only for it to completely underperform on your next upload. And this proves one thing: thumbnails mean absolutely nothing if your ideas suck, so click here to learn how to ideate like the top 1%.